I think we have to accept the fact that the climate is changing. We're getting into a drier summers, less rain. The ground becomes and plants become dry, and it increases the risk of wildfires. And so we have to adapt to that. And we need to build not just the physical resilience of the fire services and the emergency services, but also the population needs to adapt to this and change behaviours and become more prepared for these types of situations.
Tell us more.
So, for example, if you're living in an area where we call them WUI, wildland urban interface. If you're living in that interface area, then you should be.
So it's like the juxtaposition where the countryside hits the town.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, the example here is a nice example of that, where you've got rural, you've got countryside, and then you've got properties right up against it. So when you're in those sorts of situations, and there's a risk of wildfire, things you can do, for example, is prepare a go bag. Have a bag ready in your home where you've got your valuables, your medication, the important things you need, so that in the event of emergency, you just grab the bag and go. You don't wait and think about, I've got to do this, and that. Be ready, be prepared for it. Other things you can do is fortify your property.
We'll come to fortifying property. But are you honestly saying that everybody in rural communities should have a go bag by the door?
I would have if I lived in a WUI area, I would prepare a go bag for myself and for my family, so that it's a bag that's ready. It's got your valuables, the most important things, and the medication that you might need, documentation that might be lost in the fire.
Your insurance documents.
Insurance documents, passports, driver's license, things that are going to be important for you. Have them in a bag ready to go. It doesn't have to be by the door, but just have a bag prepared. And in many countries around the world now that are wildfire prone, this is the advice that we give people, to have a go bag ready to go. And I think, we're beginning to see the need for that sort of thing here in the UK.
I interrupted you, we're going to make other points.
Well, you can fortify your property to a certain extent as well. Clear the land between your property and the wildland. If you're going to have plants and shrubs, choose your plants and shrubs wisely that are less likely to suffer from reduced water because of drought, for example, and are more resilient to fire. And there's research all around the world in countries like Australia and the United States and Canada that identifies these sorts of plants, so that people can choose appropriate plants to have in their gardens. Make sure your guttering is clear. One of the big problems in wildfire, people think that your property is only at risk when the fire front reaches your property. That's not strictly true. There's what's known as an ember attack. Embers from the fire can be carried by the wind, and they're still...
we saw that yesterday, actually, didn't we? Yeah.
And they're still burning. And if your guttering is clogged with leaves and debris and so on, and these embers fall, and it's going to catch fire. And so, clear the guttering. Maybe have netting over the guttering so that you can't accumulate leaves and so on. So there are many things we can do on a personal level to improve our personal resilience. So it really is a two-prong attack. We need the emergency services need to have their resilience improved, so that we can cope with these sorts of situations. The government needs to bring in new regulations like a total fire ban concept, as they have in Australia. And it's not just really high temperatures, it's wind, it's conditions of wind. When you've had dry periods, as we've had, and it's a windy day, a small spark can start a major fire. It doesn't have to be extremely high temperatures. So in Australia, they can call a day of total fire ban, even if it's a high wind day and they've had a prolonged period of drought or of lack of rain.
Just a thought before I let you go. I know you're going to stay with us throughout the morning, but you were alarmed when the Mayor of London said 41 properties destroyed in London yesterday.
Yeah, as I said earlier, that's shocking. I mean, I think we've witnessed the first loss of property, of people's homes, their dwellings, due to global change, wildfire, in the capital. This is a major incident. It should be a wake-up call to all of people in government and in our emergency services. We need to be prepared for this. This is only the beginning.